Oh, hi. You caught me. I was just making some interesting notes about some important thoughts that I've been having here in my expensive reporter-style moleskin notebook. Anyways, I'm Mike, and I'd like to introduce you to the first of the Substream's Film Lab shorts. We've rented a really nice studio here in a super swanky part of town, and we're going to be shooting a bunch more of these things for you movie-making cats and dogs out there. Helpful infotational edutainment about the art and science and practice of filmmaking on a small budget. Gear guides, techniques, and how-tos about pre-production, regular normal production, and post-production, including the boring-ass shit that nobody really wants to hear about, like legal issues, budgeting, and how and why extras will bleed you completely dry through the power of their greed. But before we get started, we've got a problem, and it's this. Our studio looks like shit. I'll show you why. It's mostly the fault of these two giant windows back here. All they're doing is letting in a shitload of really awful, really bright, really blue sunlight. And that's messing things up for us. Because to get anything like a proper exposure on me, we have to let everything else go overexposed. And what that means is that the windows become featureless, blank, white voids, and it looks like I'm inside the Matrix. And that sucks, because I want to see out those windows. I want to see the Portuguese chicken restaurants and Draculas and feral animals that roam this neighborhood. So what do? We can start by bringing up the level of light inside this place, but we don't have the dozens of thousands of dollars necessary to light this place like a sitcom set. So we had to come up with other ideas, like Chinese lanterns. Let's see how they look. Fantastic, right? Solved all our problems. Looks amazing in here now? Wrong. You're an idiot. I was being facetious. That was a test. You failed. It still looks like crap. Let me tell you why. So if I know one thing about the sun, and I do, it's this. It's a horrible, non-stop nuclear explosion going on all day, every day, and every night too. You just can't see it at night because it's on the other side of the planet. That's science. So trying to compete with that by lighting your studio with a bunch of Chinese lanterns that really only kick out a couple hundred watts of light each, depending on what bulbs you put inside them, is more or less like bringing a knife to a gunfight. And we do things the Chicago way, which means if they send one of ours to the hospital by sending in an insane amount of bright blue sunlight, we like to send one of theirs to the morgue by taking that amount of bright blue sunlight and making it smaller and more manageable. But that's not the only one of our problems. The second is that this lantern and the walls behind me probably look really weird and orange right now. That's not because they're weird and orange, they're white. It's because my camera is an idiot. This is a white balance issue, which is a color temperature thing. And both of those things are extremely boring and really technical and stupid, and I hate talking about them. And I'm going to be making a bunch of videos about them later anyway, so suffice it to say for right now that I've got two different light sources in this frame, a tungsten one and the sun, and they each send out light that's a different color. And our brains do an okay job of figuring out what things are supposed to look white, but the camera doesn't. You have to tell the camera what color light you're shooting. And we're telling it right now that we're shooting sunlight, which means the window is white, and this thing looks weird and orange. So let's tell it the other. Let's tell it that we're shooting tungsten light and see what happens. And now it looks worse. It looks horrible and blue. This looks white and okay, but everything else is just bathed in terrible blue, cold sunlight. So how do we fix that problem? We fix it with this stuff. This is photographic gel, and it goes on the windows. And this is a combination of two things. It's full CTO, which stands for color temperature orange, which means that if we put it on the windows, it's going to take that blue light and turn it into nice, warm orange light to match our nice, warm Chinese lanterns. And the other part of it is a 0.6 ND, which stands for neutral density, which means it's going to act like a pair of sunglasses and just cut down on the amount of sunlight that's coming in, period. So like before when I was saying the thing about taking a knife to a gunfight, this is like a gun. If you take this to the fight, it's like taking a gun to a gunfight also, but taking a gun and armor, like a Captain America's shield and a gun like a bulletproof vest and gun to a gunfight. It's like if you have the power of invisibility and a gun, and you can fly going to a gunfight, and they're asleep. Let's go. Welcome back. Looks like we've managed to solve about 90% of our color, temperature, and exposure problems by spending a couple $100 on gel and lanterns and a couple of hours putting all that crap up. What we've hopefully done is create a more natural, realistic looking studio space where we can shoot a whole bunch of tubular video shorts for you rad dudes and dudettes out there in the inter-cyber web. If you've got any ideas for content, anything you'd like us to address, anything pertaining to low or no budget filmmaking or indie movie culture in general, drop me a note at mike@thesubstream.com and I'll get back to you. See you in a couple of weeks.